Hey, so today, guys, I wanted to talk about Twitch, how Twitch has been banning and suspending different people recently, and give a general critique and discussion about that. Recently, there's been a lot of people talking about this on subreddits, on YouTube, on Twitter, even on Twitch itself. You'll see other broadcasters trying to discuss the subject, but they're using very obviously coded language to talk about what they're trying to talk about without actually talking about it because they're worried that they'll get banned if they do. And it's actually become funny the lengths that people go through to try to avoid the discussion or have the discussion without having the discussion. And I think that's kind of ridiculous personally. I think it should be completely possible for people to discuss what they like and what they don't like on Twitch, but of course everything comes with limitations. And I think that some of the people that have gotten suspended have gone over those limitations and they have broken the rules. And I don't really know about permanently banning people. I really just don't like the idea of permanently banning people. And especially whenever it's very vague and it does seem like some people get different punishments than others, but there's also a lot more to it. And whenever I see these people that get permanently banned and everybody acts like, oh wow, this guy is just like some kind of a martyr and he just randomly got banned for no reason, he's a good boy, didn't do nothing. And then I find out, right? It's like you guys ever read a news story where it's like some guy steals a loaf of bread and he goes to jail and everybody's all up in arms. Then you read the second page of the article and you find out that he actually had somebody kidnapped in the trunk of his car and he's stolen 4 other loaves of bread this week. I mean, come on. Like, you've got to see the whole story. I mean, some of these dudes have gotten suspended like 4 or 5 times. It's like, how are you going to get suspended 4 or 5 times? Like, I got suspended once, and I talked to them about that, and they said, yeah, maybe that wouldn't have happened if you were a partner, right? And that's pretty much what I heard. And, it was a gray area. I'll give you that. It was a gray area. And also, after they fucking told me that, I stopped making jokes like that. And so you see people that are getting suspended 4 or 5 fucking times. It's like, damn, it's like if you want to make this a job, if you want to be a professional streamer, you've got to act professional. And getting suspended that many damn times is ridiculous. That being said, I don't really like the idea of permabanning people. I just don't. I feel like they should just give them longer suspensions or something like that. And we have seen some people get unbanned. Like, I think that Nicole Slaw got unbanned after like 2 or 1 year because, well, people hated her anyway because they thought that she was like a boob streamer or something. And then she like picked up her cat and like, people were like, oh, she's choking and killing her cat or something like that. And so they did suspend her account, and then they did reinstate it. So I do think that giving people extended suspensions is okay, but I just don't really like the idea of permabanning people. Anyway, getting back to what I was saying, one of the instances that I do want to talk about, and I do want to kind of, shed some light on, is that there was one person who was basically saying a bunch of bad stuff about another individual on Twitch, and they were both partnered broadcasters. And this was on somebody else's stream, but I believe the stream was still on Twitch. And correct me if I'm wrong there. But anyway, the person did get banned because they were bad mouthing another broadcaster. Twitch has a very they have a pretty strongly stated rule against bad mouthing other streamers on their website, and I think that's a good thing, especially whenever you compare it to the amount of toxicity and negativity that goes on YouTube, because YouTube doesn't really have a rule like that. And if they do, it's not very enforced. It's like you see all the time on YouTube, people are they're making diss videos about each other, diss tracks, and then they just make, exposed videos and, every single B-list version of content cops on each other and all of that other kind of shit. There are some people on YouTube who basically have built their career around putting other people down and just harassing and saying bad things about other people on the site. And I mean, like, really, what does that individual bring that's positive? I would argue it's pretty much nothing. They have really no positive impact on the platform, and if anything, it's going to be negative. You can say that they're helping people improve, but I think that everybody knows that whenever you put ads on a video where you're talking shit about somebody, it's kind of obvious what your actual priorities are. So anyway, I think that it's good. I think that it's good that they have a rule against witch hunting and they have a rule against bad mouthing other broadcasters. I think it's one of the big reasons why Twitch has overall a less toxic platform than YouTube does, especially whenever it comes to broadcaster interaction. So anyway, the first broadcaster said something bad about the second broadcaster, and the first broadcaster got in trouble and they got indefinitely suspended. Now, this was like the third or the fourth or the fifth time. I forgot which one, honestly. This person had gotten suspended, and so it was a permanent suspension. And people were talking about this as that it was unfair or overreaching for Twitch to do this. Now, I don't really think that it was, personally, because it was also on another stream that was hosted on Twitch. And I think that it's very important to realize, because then you can come back and say that other people are saying bad stuff about these broadcasters on Twitter, and what about that? I think that it's better for Twitch to focus on what goes on inside their platform rather than try to arbitrate what their different partners do and what the different people do on they're basically our partners with Twitch, what they do on the internet at large. It's like, imagine if Twitch was going to say that you couldn't do this, you couldn't do that on Twitter, right? And I think that it's better to just have a rule where you can pretty much say whatever you want. I mean, obviously to an extent, outside of Twitch about other people, and that's generally how it works. But whenever you're actually on Twitch, that stuff should be kept basically to zero. And I think that's a pretty reasonable line to draw. I would actually prefer not to, and if you look at really what the implications of that would be, if Twitch was trying to micromanage and trying to parse out every single person's interactions on social media as a whole on the internet, it would be absolutely ridiculous. And I don't think anyone would want that, and I especially would not. I think that kind of just keeping things just to Twitch is the safest and the smartest way for them to handle things. So that's the first thing that I wanted to talk about, is that I do think that the witch hunting rule is absolutely a positive thing. I also do think that, I mean, if you've been suspended 4 or 5 times, I mean, somebody's got to either talk to you about, like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, why do you keep fucking up? Or, maybe give you a vacation. I'm not saying a perma-ban, I'm saying a vacation. It's just kind of ridiculous. Also, I don't really think that there's a whole lot of favoritism going on, but I do think that Twitch has kind of put themselves in a weird spot when it comes to, like, as I said, people don't want to talk about this, but I really don't have a problem talking about it. There are a lot of people on, like, especially the IRL section, in regards to, like, girls that wear close to nothing, and it seems fairly obvious that there's an attraction to that stream that's sexual, and I think that if you asked any reasonable person, they'd probably come to that conclusion, and maybe not anybody, but I would say most people at least. So those people are obviously, they're doing that for a reason, right? And they're doing that to attract people to their stream in whatever way possible. Now, if Twitch is okay with that, I think that it would be better for everybody for them to just come out and say, we are okay with these individuals going on there wearing next to no clothes and doing squats or doing whatever for donations or something like that. I have really no problem with them doing that, but I think the main problem that people have is that whenever you read the terms of service, it does say that things that are explicitly sexual or vaguely sexual even are not really supposed to be on Twitch. And whenever that's the terms of service, that's why people keep reporting these different girls, because it's obviously mostly girls, doing this, is that you read the terms of service and then you see what these individuals are doing, and based off of what you read from the terms of service, a lot of reasonable people are coming to the conclusion that what they're doing is against the rules. And I think that it would be very easy for Twitch to solve this problem. I think they could either change their terms of service and just allow people to pretty much do whatever they want, and if they want to let the girls do that, that's fine. It's not really a big deal to me. I don't really care, personally. Or say not to do it, right? It should be one or the other. And I think that they should at least change the wording and the way that their TOS looks, because a lot of people read that and they come to the conclusion that what these people are doing is against the terms of service. And I don't think that this many people coming to that conclusion indicates that there's any sort of, gamers hate girls or, misogyny really going on. I think that there's a lot of elements of that, absolutely, and it's completely a reality that a lot of girls have to face online. And I don't think any reasonable person supports that, but at the same time, that doesn't necessarily mean that they want to have, girls doing things that are explicitly, really, sexual for different donations and for viewers and stuff on Twitch. I think it'd be a lot easier for everybody if Twitch came out and they really kind of drew a line in the sand and they said, this is what's okay and this is what's not. in the same way that they allow people to do certain things in terms of like saying words, right? You're not allowed to say the N word. You're not also allowed to say fag, right, or like faggot or something like that. I think YouTube also forbids you from saying the N word, right? That's why I'm not saying it. But all of those words, everything basically besides that is pretty much okay. And whenever they said that, I was like, yeah, I don't really see the problem with that. But if this is what the rules are, this is what the rules are, and I'll follow the rules. If Twitch made a rule tomorrow and they said you can't say banana on stream, I wouldn't say banana on stream, right? It doesn't really matter what the rules are because it's their platform and they can arbitrate and do whatever they want. I just think that what's best for the most people and what's best really for everybody, including Twitch, is for them to lay those rules out as simply, as plainly, and as clearly as possible, not only for the broadcasters but also for themselves. I mean, like they make money through these different broadcasters, putting up ads on their pages, getting subscriptions and everything like that. So it's actually in Twitch's best interest to make things as clear cut and as obvious as possible. And I think that if they were able to do that, everybody would be a lot happier. Other than that, I think those are probably the two main concerns that people have. And again, also Twitch could do something and have like a not safe for work section and just have people basically, I mean, you could just have like Chatterbait Light or something like that. Like, I don't really think that would be a good idea for Twitch. I don't. But that's the direction that they could take. And that's fine, right? If they want to do that. Like, I mean, I could criticize it, but they can do that. I just think it would be really important for them to draw a line in the sand and make a decision as to what's okay and what's not. I think they're in kind of a weird situation because, especially given the current like social and like political climate, it's like any sort of kind of like cracking down on that could be very easily perceived by, in my opinion, sources and individuals that are really kind of irrelevant and don't matter. But Twitch does take them seriously for whatever reason, and so do a lot of other companies. They could be interpreted as like misogyny or interpreted as like slut shaming or something like that, one of those other buzzwords. And I think that's another reason why Twitch doesn't want to crack down on it, is they don't want to open up that can of worms and have those people who are basically professional complainers, put Twitch in their sites. Personally, I think that's very silly. I think those people have really no power, no authority, and really no value, ultimately. But if Twitch feels that way, I think that the next best thing for them to do is to draw a line in the sand, make a decision, and make everybody know what that decision is. And I think that making a decision, no matter what that decision is going to be more respectable, and more people are going to understand that than them just kind of acting like it's a gray area, acting like, they're ignoring it, or basically just ignoring it in general, and then just occasionally like giving somebody a suspension whenever they bring it up, right? I just feel like they could do a lot better job, and I think they owe it to the community to do that. Anyway, guys, that's pretty much how I feel. Again, I think that for the most part, Twitch has been pretty level-headed in terms of handing out suspensions and handing out... God damn, I've sat here for a long time. Oh my god. Twitch has been pretty fair and equitable in terms of handing out suspensions and handing out, bans and all of that kind of stuff. Mistakes are always made, right? Mistakes are always made. But in a general sense, I think that they have done a good job, and I have every faith that they'll be able to continue doing so. I just hope that whenever they do that with the community at their side. And I think the best way for them to do that is to communicate the rules clearly, concisely, and very, very cleanly. And I think that's what it comes down to. That's what they need to do. And most of the rules I completely agree with. Witch hunting, completely agree with. Everything else, completely agree with. I care a lot about Twitch. I really care about broadcasting. I've been broadcasting like forever, right? Not just on Twitch, but like on other places too. Like I remember I put out videos on MySpace and shit, right? So like I've always been about that. And I want to see Twitch do as well as possible. I really like the idea of live streaming and everything. So, for me personally, I just want to see things go in the best direction possible. So anyway, guys, I'd be curious to hear what your input is, what your opinions are, and, am I off base or not? As somebody who's been part of this community for a very long time, this is kind of my analysis of it. So, that's pretty much all I've got. Peace.